Well, good afternoon. It is high noon in real country. This is the Marc McMain Show, but I'm Bob Furr, filling in for Marc on Tuesdays here on Q92.3. Marc is out pursuing the Republican nomination for District 46 for the Georgia State Senate. Happy Tuesday. Happy spring, Chastity. Good to see you.
Yes, it's great to see you,
First time I've
Bob.
seen you all season. Last
Absolutely.
Friday was officially the start of spring.
First day of spring. I'm so excited.
I knew that beforehand, though, because I noticed that nature's mustard gas attack has started. My red and black trolley.
I know. I just went to the car wash yesterday and then had to spray it off this morning.
Why bother? Like my black and red trolley's currently a
and
yellow
no
school
rain
bus.
in sight.
I know.
So.
I know. Well, that's good. Hey, I also know it's spring because there's a lot going on, and I'm here to talk about Morgan County, Madison, what's going on there when I'm on the show. And, man, the activities really ramp up. That's one of the things I think makes Madison really special. They do a great job. They got great attractions. They got a lot of great things to do. For example, this weekend, community yard sale. 8 to 11 in Town Park. You can get gently used, clothing, houseware, toys, furniture, whatever. So a great community yard sale. And second Saturdays in downtown have started up in Madison. That's just every second Saturday. There's a new fun theme that you can be a part of while you shop. It was cookie theme was the cookie crawl last week.
Oh, exciting!
I got to say, my wife Kristen, her lemon cookies crushed it, from what I hear. So
no samples.
They did not last. I got a big family. So and then on April 25th, one of the big four they call it, Madison Fest, and so that's from 10 to 4 in the town park. You're going to get vendors selling all kinds of crafts and handmade goods from local businesses as well. You got food vendors. There's a beer garden, and they're also doing something called a plein air. Do you know what that is?
No,
a plein air paint out. Anybody know what that is? Colin, you're shaking your head. Yeah. Yeah, so that's when you paint outside in the moment, and the Artists Guild is sponsoring that, and so you take advantage of the central light and stuff like that, and they're going to be doing that live. So, and then we Madison Trolley Company, we got our lobsters roll on Sunday. It's a 4:05 game. We're leaving Madison at 2. You can come down, get a discount ticket to the game, and ride with us. We'll drop you off at the front door. It's great fun. So you can find out more about that at madisontrolley.com, and you can find out more about all the cool things happening at Madison at either MadisonGA.com, go to Madison Main Street Downtown Events, or go to Visit Madison GA. So speaking of things today, things to do, today's show is about things that there are to do in Madison. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the Madison Morgan Cultural Center and the Morgan County Historical Society and the 3 homes that they operate. So I saw a statistic, I don't know how reliable it is, that only 15 to 20% of people who live in New York ever actually go to the Statue of Liberty. And
what?
Can you imagine?
That's crazy.
Right. And I think that happens here. I mean, here in Madison, we have this awesome cultural center. We have these 3 historic homes. It's kind of Madison's version of the Statue of Liberty. I think a lot of people, see them and don't know that it's there and don't take advantage of that. And we are going to try to change that today.
Great.
So we got 3 people here who help make those attractions special. We've got Stephanie Donaldson, who's the executive director of the Morgan County Historical Society. We've got Mallory Agnew, who's the events and marketing coordinator from the Cultural Center. And we've got Colin Agnew, who is the performing arts coordinator. So let's jump right in. Stephanie, tell us about the Historical Society and all the things it does.
Oh, I hope you have enough time. We're going to be here for a while. The Morgan County Historical Society, like you said, we have 3 historic homes that we manage. But let's back it up a bit. Historically, the Historical Society has been in charge of course, maintaining the history of Morgan County. We're really lucky that we've got a great community here who keeps their stuff. They really hold on to things here in Morgan County. In fact, Heritage Hall can boast most of its belongings from citizens in Morgan County who have donated things, and we get to tell those stories also at Rogers House and Rose Cottage. But it's just a group of folks who, of course, this historic town, they love it so much. They wanted to make sure to maintain that history, that we keep the papers and the furniture and everything. And a group of people just, got together and have all that information. We've got such great scrapbooks dating all the way back to the early 1900s. I believe the 1950s is when it got started. We operate on a membership basis. It's pretty cheap, $25 to be a member of the Historical Society. Although we will take whatever y'all want to give us.
Well, and businesses, right? Businesses for $250,
Right.
and that's it's been great for our business. So I would really encourage businesses to get involved in that for sure.
And it really does take a community for us to keep going. I mean, we're so grateful that we've got so many folks here who just keep giving to all of the different organizations here in Morgan County. But that is primarily how it's funded, is through our membership and, of course, having events. And I know you're going to get into it later, like the tour of homes. That's really what keeps us going and keeps our homes funded. And when we talk about what we offer, we try to do a presentation for our members every month. I've been partnering a lot with the Landmark Society, and so that's been a lot of fun, getting folks who come in and we get a presentation. We just did one for Woody about a gentleman who served during World War II and did a presentation on that. And he was the one who founded the Morgan County Archives. So just making sure people get to know things about Morgan County and fall in love with it, like I have.
It's interesting you say how well you have all these great records, which is somewhat of a miracle because the town has
Yes.
burned down like 16 times in its history. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show in Real Country, Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Mark. We're talking with three fine people behind some of the great local organizations and attractions you can take advantage of. So we'll bring it over to you, Mallory, for the Cultural Center. Kind of same question. Tell us a little bit about the Cultural Center, what's behind it, what it does, and how people can take advantage of it.
Sure. Thanks for having us, by the way. So the Cultural Center was originally built as one of the first graded schools. That was in 1896. And then in 1957, it was repurposed as a public library. And then 1976, we opened our doors as the Cultural Center. So this is our 50-year anniversary this year. We're very excited.
It opened like 2 days after the nation's bicentennial, right? Did I see that? Like
Correct.
in 1976? Yeah.
Yes. But we are a nonprofit, multidisciplinary performing and visual arts facility and history museum.
Yeah, and I think the museum part is what people miss out on. When people are on the trolley tour, I always encourage them. Yeah, that awesome 1895 classroom that looks like you just stepped back into 1895, 1896. And then the museum downstairs, you know, there's that canteen that was carved by the Union soldier. There's the silver communion service that was taken by the Union Army. Just a great museum. I think people overlook. And then, of course, the whole second floor dedicated to the Andrews family and the Dot Man and that. So, yeah, lots of great events there, but it's really a great museum. You guys are like the Disney World and Universal Studios of Madison. So,
Totally.
so, Colin, you're kind of a subset of that, heading up the performing arts. There's a lot going on there. Tell us a little bit about that program and, you know, what the history of it is, its goals, and
Sure.
just high-level types of events you offer.
Yeah, well, the history of the performing arts there is very, very rich, as well as the museums and all the history that it offers there. The performing arts department, I guess you'd call it, has had numerous fantastic performances over the last 50 years. I don't know if Mallory mentioned this is our 50th year anniversary, but yes. So as part of that, we're having the ASO, Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, back this year for the 46th time in a row. There are certain members there that have been to every single concert, so please don't miss that. For the past 24 years, we've been hosting a chamber music festival, which has changed shape over the many years that it was since its inception. Right now, it's going to be slowly turning into the Spring Music Festival, and that kind of harkens to one of our goals, which is to diversify our programming quite a bit more. So we have a large selection of chamber music and classical music, as you can see in our upcoming lineup, but we also have a lot of more things that might cater to other people. You know, we've got a lot of hip-hop, we've got a lot of country music, we've got a lot of Americana, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, not everybody can shift the gears from Shakespeare and opera into hip-hop and jazz
It's not
as
easy.
comfortably as you guys do at the Cultural Center. And, you know, I think the Cultural Center really one of the really all your buildings are interesting. So back to you, Stephanie. Your buildings do such a great job telling the story, right? And we'll get more into this after the break. But in those 3 buildings, you can see here's how a working class family lived in
Right.
the 1800s. Here's how a middle class family lived in the 1800s. And here's how a wealthy planter class lived. And you get to really see that. The Cultural Center, to me, I think may be the most interesting building in Madison, not just because it's this unbelievable architectural wonder built in the Romanesque Revival style, but it operated throughout its entire history as a school under the dual education, separate but equal system, all-white school. And so I don't think you can come up with a better symbol of, what had been 2 Madisons. I think you have to look at that realistically. We talk about that on the tour. My experience since I've been here is I don't know that there's any place that those 2 Madisons more come together as one today than they do at the Cultural Center,
Yes.
both in terms of the events and things. We just saw the State of the City was given there. We saw, you were mentioning the help you get from people in the community. Chris Lambert, of course, part founder, longtime supporter of part founder of the Cultural
Yeah,
Center,
she's
longtime
great.
supporter,
Queen of Madison.
got the Lifetime Achievement Award. And then we also saw some great educators and members of the African American community getting recognized as well. The basketball team that we had on last week. So just you guys really provide a great venue for the community and a centering place for the community, but that's not really what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about today, you guys, as a tourist attraction, right? I mean, and exit through the gift shop. You both have very nice little gift shops, too, by the way, here. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the 3 homes that that the Historical Society operates as a museum, and we'll get into some of the things that you can see and do at the Cultural Center. You're listening to The Marc McMain Show. Yours truly, Bob Furr, guest host, while Mark is on the campaign trail. You're listening to Q92.3. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Keep the Real Country on the air.
The Madison Trolley Company is Morgan County's newest 5-star attraction. We offer historic Madison tours year-round, a haunted history experience in the fall, and our Madison Lights Christmas Tour and Mary Maddie Express Adventure for kids have become new holiday traditions. Our private charters add vintage charm to weddings and special occasions aboard a historic trolley by day, party trolley by night. Find us on the Madison Town Square or get on board by visiting madisontrolley.com or calling us at 706-997-1800.
Recently, I was on a flight writing on a legal pad, and the man next to me struck up a conversation. "Are you an author?" he asked. I said, "No, I'm actually a preacher." Well, the look on his face was priceless. How would you feel if you're stuck sitting next to a preacher for several hours? Surprisingly, though, we had a good conversation. He asked me several questions about Jesus, and I told him that the Bible says if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, Christianity is worthless. Ever thought about that? You see, the truthfulness of Christianity hinges on whether Jesus died and rose from the grave. There's great evidence for it, and I'm one of the billions of Christians around the globe who believes that the resurrection really happened. If Jesus did conquer death, then he's worthy of your trust. If he didn't, reject him because he's a fraud. I believe he really conquered death. What do you believe? This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
For devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
I've got to tell you about the best kept secret in Monroe for electric wholesale supply, Allen's Electric. Family owned and operated since 1972, Allen's Electric offers a complete line of electrical supply, wiring, breakers, bulbs, heating elements, electric motors, light fixtures, and so much more. Located at 925 West Spring Street in Monroe, stop by and see Brian and Cindy, in business for over 50 years. That's Allen Electric Supply, 770-267-5572.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Mark on Tuesdays. We are talking about things to do and see right here in Real Country, close by for you to go and visit. Stephanie, we're going to get to your 3 homes in just a minute, but during the commercial break, Colin dropped a bomb on us, talking to us about REM playing the Cultural Center. You want to maybe tell us that story and when they'll be back?
Yeah, sooner rather than later, I hope. It's been, 35 years, I think. think, since the last time they were there. But no, as part of the MTV 10th anniversary, they funded some live performances around the country, including REM performing a live version of "Losing My Religion," which happened on our stage in the auditorium at the Cultural Center in 1991.
So no pressure on you now as the performing arts director to come up with, the coordinator to come up with something.
Sure. Yeah, none whatsoever.
So, all right. So let's come back to the real world for a second. And Stephanie, let's talk about your 3 awesome homes. Like I said, I talk about them on the tour. You can really see the 3 stages of life. But tell us a little bit about the 3 homes, how they became what they are today, how you operate them, what people can experience when they go there. Just fill us in on the 3 homes.
Yes. Hard to follow REM, but I'm going to try. So we've got the 3 historic homes. We've got Heritage Hall, which you tour solo. That takes about 50 minutes, and that house is set in the 1850s, and like you said, planter class, Greek Revival architecture, very well-to-do family. The Jones family would have lived there in that time period. It's also known as the Jones, Turnell, Manley House because those are the 3 families that lived there the longest. And so we kind of touch base on all of those 3 families as we walk you through the home. Lots of beautiful items in that house, and we do deep dives into some of those things because we don't use them anymore. For example, a cricket, I call it what they would have, is kind of like a microwave back in the 1800s. It's a metal piece that you would put a bucket of coal underneath, and they called it a cricket because as it warms up, the metal would start to move, and it sounded like a cricket, but it kept you put your plate on top of it, and it would have kept your food warm. So just lots of neat things like that inside all of the houses. Roger's house is the only of the 3 houses that is still in its original location, built circa 1809, 1810 on lot number 6, and it's still on lot number 6 to this day.
Sold for $111.
That's right. And we know that a house was built there because he sold it for $1,000 the next year. So we know the house was built during that time period. But again, that would have been a middle-class home. And then right next door to it was moved Rose Cottage, and that was built by an enslaved woman, Adeline Rose. And again, so now we're showing what a lower class family would have lived in, and to have that piece, especially for Morgan County history, I think is very important because prior to the Civil War breaking out, most of the population was African American.
7 out of 10 people in
Right.
Morgan County were enslaved prior to the Civil War.
Right. So it's very important that we include that history when we're showing our homes because it was a big part of Morgan County history. So to be able to tell her story, and it's one of resilience. She had listed herself as a widow, had children that she was bringing up on her own, working as a laundress, 50 cents per wagon load of laundry. Ladies, not okay.
Well, and listen, I always say this on the tour, like that's a pretty nice little house. And
Right.
for, she had that laundry and ironing business catering to the hotels. And I always tell people don't gloss over that. I mean, for an African American to be able to own a business in post-Civil War Madison, let alone an African American
Right.
woman, and have it do well enough to have that home built for her, that was an amazing accomplishment. Also lived to be 95.
Correct. So, and I think about if I could sit and talk to anyone as a black woman who lived, the Civil War was ending, saw people riding around in horse and carriage, saw trains, saw the emergence of automobiles, lived through, how many wars, the civil rights is starting to happen just as she's starting to pass away. She saw so much happen in her lifetime. I just think she would be such an interesting person to speak to and to get her perspective on America.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, born as an enslaved person
Right.
during the Civil War, died during the Atomic Age and the Cold War.
Right.
And, worth mentioning, we're going to get them on at another date, but the African American Museum in town, another attraction, the John Wesley Moore House, another amazing man. His life spanned Reconstruction and the beginning of Jim Crow, the roughest years to be an African American living in the South. So just so much fascinating history there.
Important stories.
What stands out to me about the houses is in the Rose Cottage, the actual that just says Jesus Saves the Quilt
Yes.
that she stitched by her own hand. That really kind of strikes me. And then the doctor's office that's been recreated in Heritage Hall. The one thing that I can tell you, having visited that room, is I really would not want to be sick in the 1800s in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And then you do some really cool stuff with Heritage Hall as well. You had it all decorated for Christmas time, and then
Right.
of course during Halloween we worked together on the haunted tour where you could actually step inside and you were stepping into a Victorian morning, and then who would they meet? You want to give? I'll give you a chance for who. So I step in. I'm in this creepy room. There's a casket, and all of a sudden,
Well, I mean, creepy, sir, is relative. I mean, back then, that's just how we had our services. You just turned your front parlor into, it's where we put our dead, and out of respect, you got to let them rest for 3 days, make sure that they really are dead. You don't know. They might have to ring a bell.
I don't want to give it away because we're going to do it again this year. But it was it was a it's not a ghost tour, right? It was a combination of learning about death in the 1800s, but with also a little performing arts. I wasn't going to let Colin take the whole show on the performing arts here. I mean, we don't want to paint the picture of stuffy old historic buildings. There's some performing arts going on there, and on the REOM challenge, let's not give it away, but there is the connection between Heritage Hall and the Allman Brothers.
That's true.
So you got your own rock and roll roots
That's
there.
true.
As well. So
Like a challenge.
you're listening to the Marc McMain Show on Real Country Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Marc on Tuesdays. Marc is out seeking a seat in the Georgia State Senate. We're talking about the Madison Morgan Cultural Center, and we're going to be talking about the tour of homes that you guys both have experience with, and we're talking about the 3 homes that are operated by the Morgan County Historical Society and all these things that they offer to do right here in Madison. So, Mallory, let's throw it your way now. You got the Cultural Center. I mean, the courthouse might argue with it. Tragic fire, by the way, yesterday. Did you see that? The courthouse, 1880s, and what was that, Douglas County or Floyd County, was it? Floyd County in Rome. Yeah, what a tragedy to see that. Scary, too, a little bit.
Worst nightmare
Yeah,
situation.
because it's not like Madison's a stranger to fire, so it's a little bit nervous. But tell us a little bit about the Cultural Center. You mentioned it was a former graded school. Tell us what it is today. Just a really interesting building and a lot of interesting things happening there.
Yes, it's stunning, first of all. I've been working there just shy of 2 years, and every day I just take a moment and take in its beauty. And my grandfather went to school there, actually, so I've got a sentimental tie
How
as
cool
well.
is that?
Yeah. I think he still holds football records at the high school, too. But, yeah, it's a place for our community, and to plug membership and the importance of that, we, welcome any feedback and what our community wants to see more of. But yeah, performing arts, visual arts, our history museum. We've got a great exhibit happening right now that's closing in a few days. Gary Hudson, he was an abstract artist based out of Athens. And next up we have John Cleveland. He is incredible. He lives in Farmington. I had the honor of visiting his studio. It was just amazing, and he is a contemporary artist. He paints mostly nature scenes, and they look like a photograph. It's amazing how he captures it so accurately, or paints it so accurately, rather. But yeah, we've got some awesome performances coming up for the rest of our spring music festival. And
You just had the antiques and fine things.
Oh,
We were
yes.
talking about that last week on the show.
yes, still catching up on sleep from that. That was a huge success. We had an awesome lineup of lecturers, interior designers, and we had 22 antique vendors. This is an event that's been happening. This was our 24th year, same as our music festival. So that was a big hit, and beautiful weather for that. So.
And it, also the site of the annual July 4th, although it's July 3rd.
Yes.
Hunt. A little struggle for me there on that one. Madison likes to celebrate the 4th of July on the 3rd of July, which coincidentally is the day the South lost the Battle of Gettysburg. I'm not sure if anybody did cross-reference that check, but that's a great concert, and a great way to get the community involved and that sort of thing. I'll share with you experience. The very first educational seminar that I got to do there was on the dual education system, and it was fantastic, right? So we've talked a lot about the entertainment and the shows and stuff like that. This was people talking about the old Pearl Burney School, which was in the Canaan neighborhood. And it, listen, I'm from up north, right? So the segregation era, dual education, separate, that's stuff I read about in textbooks, not something I ever experienced. And to witness it and hear it firsthand from the people who went through it was really fascinating. They have that story kind of combining Hoosiers with Remember the Titans, where they had a state championship caliber basketball team, and I guess the first year the referees, kind of fixed the game, but it was still so close that the next year they got on the bus and they came up with ways that they could, prevent them from going. They had to forfeit, and they talked about, I guess, the very first civil rights protest ever was when they sent 2 brand new sets of encyclopedias under the dual education system, one for the white schools and one for the African American schools. The white schools tried to keep both, and I guess that triggered, one of, if not the first, civil rights protest. But that kind of educational thing is not just entertaining and interesting, it's important and critical, and you guys do a lot of great stuff along those lines. And then, Stephanie, you've got something going on right now with the historic markers. I know that I'm going to be out with my scrub brush and my team. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on with the historic markers.
Yes, so I cannot take credit for that. That was Terry Tatum's brainchild, and she is the president of the Landmark Society. Also
director of the Morgan County Archives, and
yes.
Terry Tatum's everywhere.
She is everywhere.
She's the everywhere
She is
gal.
Unstoppable. So, yeah, she had a great idea of getting all of the historic markers in Morgan County cleaned up, and there are over 60 spread out. And we thought, what a great idea to have just everyone in the community pitch in, whether it's organizations. I know Camden from the Cultural Center came over to one of our training sessions. Bob, in your red shirt, we're going to see you out there cleaning up. We had the students from the sophomore serve come out. And so, yeah, we just thought, what a great way to kind of commemorate, especially with America 250 happening, to have everyone go out, look at these markers, read them, get that history of Morgan County, and then everyone contribute just to the cleanup of them and preservation of them so that they're able to be enjoyed for hopefully another 250 years.
And by the way, I've got the markers that are in front of the Cultural Center, so I'm cleaning up, now I'd like to say I chose those because I wanted to clean up the markers in front of the Cultural Center. I chose them because they were Sherman's March and the Stoneman Cavalry Raid, and strangely they were available. Nobody else seemed to be really...
Or you gave me a little wink, Bob, and you were like, I'll do it, Stephanie, but I want these two sides.
I'm not clear why all the Southerners in the group didn't want to jump on the Sherman's March historic mark. Personally, I was afraid of, how they might be cleaned by the wrong person, so I felt like I needed to get myself in there as a safety factor. So just some great things going on. The big thing, and by the way, I've watched you all go through, things like the tour of homes and all of that, and it's fun for me, frankly. Because I'm usually perfect example being the 4th of July. I gave trolley rides to kids, right? These guys are out there trying to make all the trains run on time and everything like that. Easy for me, so quite entertaining. But when we come back, we're going to talk about something that you both share, critical to both, probably Madison's signature event, which is the tour of homes. Stephanie, you're just coming off of it, having done it over the holidays. Mallory, you're in it. We're going to talk about what it is, how people can take advantage of it. So it's the bottom of the noon hour here in Real Country. You're listening to Marc McMain Show, Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Mark on Tuesdays. We're talking about some of our community's homegrown attractions. We're going to pay some bills, be right back, and we'll continue talking about all the things that there are to see and do right here.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? go see AutoCorrect Collision. AutoCorrect is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit AutoCorrect Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
Anytime is a great time to make memories at the Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary in Lilburn. Close to home and fun for the entire family. Not only will you see wildlife up close, like bears, otters, bison, and more, you can enjoy a picnic lunch. There's gem mining and so much more. The Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary, 4525 Highway 78 in Lilburn. Make plans to visit soon. To learn more, go to yellowriverwildlifesanctuary.com.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm fourth generation owner Josh Parker, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
All right, welcome back to the Marc McMain Show, Real Country. Bob Furr here, filling in for Mark on Tuesdays, Q92.3. We are talking with Mallory Agnew, Colin Agnew from the Madison Morgan Cultural Center, and we're talking with Stephanie Donaldson, who's the director of the Morgan County Historical Society, operating 3 great homes. Talking about all the great things that they have to do and see and do right here in the heart of Madison. So on television, they do crossover episodes, Chastity, right? Like, so when I was a little kid, going to date myself here, Adam 12, An Emergency, like, you know, little Bobby in the late 1970s, man, when they were on each other's show, big thrill. I think they do them today. There's the whole Chicago series, Chicago Fire, Chicago Police, and all that. So we can do a little crossover episode here because there are some places that the Cultural Center and Historical Society intersect. One is field trips, and we're going to be involved in that. We're going to be doing tours on the trolley for kids, and I know they're going to be visiting your homes and visiting your building. Tell us a little bit about how you guys get involved in field trips.
Oh, gosh. So the 4th grade field trip comes through every year, and they're fresh off of learning about the Civil War. So that's the theme. They start off, historically, it's been over at the courthouse, and our friend Heather Cousins is over there, and she gives them the history of the Doughboy. I'm usually over at Rogers and Rose, and I give them a little history behind those 2 homes, and they walk through quickly. But the main thing is coming over to Heritage Hall because we are set in the 1850s prior to the Civil War breaking out, and they get to go and see all of the things in the house. And you've got some stuff over at the house now that you were so kind to donate.
Yeah, that worked out cool.
The reenactment uniforms.
Yeah, I had some old Union and Confederate uniforms, so we're able to show them, you know, the actual uniforms and stuff they would have carried around and stuff like that. And then what do they do over at the Cultural Center?
So we also participate in this field trip focused around the Civil War, but we also partner with local schools, and we have outreach to as far out as Stone Mountain. We've had some kids attend we have plays through different theater companies where we match their offerings with the curriculum of Morgan County schools, and we'll have the field trips come out, and the kids can enjoy a fun and educational show. So that's a lot of fun too.
So I have been in Madison long enough now to know that there are 4 days a year in Madison that are unlike any other days of the year in Madison. All traffic laws are suspended. All parking laws are suspended, and it's the annual tour of homes. And just last year was the 75th anniversary. It was started by a garden club, La Flora Garden Club. And, you know, the number one question on everybody taking the trolley tour is, so can we go in these houses? And I'm like, well, you can go in the 3 I told you about, and you can go in the Cultural Center, but unfortunately you'll probably get arrested if you go into any of the others because they are private residences, and that's kind of frowned on. But twice a year, in May, we've got the spring tour of homes coming up May 16th, 15th and 16th, Friday and Saturday. And then in December, I think it was the first weekend of December,
Correct.
we had the tour of homes. And this is where you can buy a ticket. It's a huge fundraiser for both your organizations. You guys alternate back and forth going through and doing that. So let's start with you, Stephanie, since you're just coming off of it. Have you recovered?
I don't know if I'll ever recover, Bob.
I think what I want to start with is focus on how because one of the things I understand is a little bit of a problem now is, you've had these houses that had been, I know we have one house in town been in the same family for like 8 generations, but now these houses have turned over to new generations that maybe have moved here from Atlanta, don't have that same connection to the community. And my understanding, it's an increasing battle to try to get people to open up their homes, which is no small thing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, and especially, Mallory, I heard you say that you've been in your position for shy of 2 years. So I am in the same boat, and so I don't have that same rapport with these folks who have lived here their whole lives. They don't know me from Adam. So for some random girl to go, hey, do you want to open up your house for thousands of people to walk through for the weekend? It would be great, and it would raise a lot of money, but it is. I've had to lean on folks who have been here for a while, who do have those kind of relationships, and I see Mallory nodding her head saying, "Yeah." It takes the community, and thankfully we live in a community where a lot of these folks know that this is our bread and butter for our organization. That the money that we make from these tours sustains Heritage Hall for 2 years. We don't make enough money from ticket income from people visiting the houses to keep us going, because we do pay our docents. They're not just volunteers. They get paid hourly, and I got to get paid too, Bob.
And you don't really charge for field trips, right? You don't really charge
Correct.
for the educational
Correct.
things. And the admission fees for visiting both your facilities are nominal. So this is a critical fundraiser.
Very critical.
And important for the town's economy, too. I mean, you are bringing, how many people did you have at the Christmas tour of homes? Just best guess.
Oh, gosh. Almost 3,000.
Okay, so that's 3,000 people in a community of less than 5,000.
Right.
So that is what you would call economic impact, and super important.
Right.
So, well, you don't look too much the worse for wear. We're glad you got through
Makeup
it.
works wonders.
You're listening to Real Country Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Marc on the Marc McMain Show on Tuesdays. We're talking with Stephanie Donaldson, Colin Agnew, and Mallory Agnew from the Morgan County Cultural Center and Morgan County Historical Society. And we're now into the upcoming spring tour of homes. Mallory, that brings us to you because Stephanie is sitting on the proverbial beach of tour of homes now.
Yeah.
You are in it. Tell us what's going on.
I am in it. So we have finalized all of our participating homeowners. We have 8 homes on the tour this year. Our crown jewel this year is Boxwood.
Worth the price of admission.
Yes,
right there.
absolutely.
Fascinating home built in the 1850s. Yes. It's got a Union soldier carved his name in the glass. Amazing architecture,
Had a
beautiful
working
landscape
kitchen.
and gardens. It's got the only enslaved quarters remaining on the grounds. That is worth the price. Not to disparage the other homes, of course.
Right.
But there's always a crown jewel, right? There's always, Space Mountain was Space Mountain, right? Or Pirates of the Caribbean. There's always one.
Isn't Boxwood the house that's on like the city crest?
It
Boxwood's
is.
a big deal.
It is, yes.
It is, yeah.
And the homeowners are just wonderful, wonderful people. The first time I went over there, I looked at the fireplace, which was originally the kitchen stove, and it's brick, but on the edge it was very smooth and kind of this dull edge, and they told me that's where they used to sharpen their knives way back in the day. So I just love learning all these fun little facts about the homes. But yes, we have 8 incredible homes on tour this year. And yeah, I'm responsible for getting those on the website this week. I'm taking pictures today and tomorrow, so be on the lookout for an update for those homes.
Now, you guys may have noticed at the start of the show when I introduced everybody that we have 2 people in the room sharing the same last name, in Mallory and Colin, and there's a reason for that. So I feel like, as Mallory's in the heart of trying to plan the tour of homes, Colin, how's that going for you?
It's going okay. She's a trooper, and she's doing a great job.
Walk us through the steps. right? So, there's a point. It's really a year-round process, right, Stephanie? I'm sure you have something going on right now because you'll have it again. Will you have it in the winter? How does it work?
So Cultural Center does the spring tour every year.
Okay. Right. Oh, so it doesn't alternate. It alternates between spring.
Christmas is the one we alternate.
Okay.
And not everybody knows that. So we'll have people coming to buy tickets for your for their program over at Heritage Hall, and I'm like, not this year.
Yeah, we had a lot of calls about the holiday tour.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for making me look bad on my lack of Madison knowledge. I appreciate that. But so you're probably already, in the process of at least reaching out to people to say, hey, would you be interested in doing this and that sort of thing. So, and it's funny you should mention Boxwood because, I've noticed one of the homes that was on the tour, in the winter tour, I've noticed that the people who own that home have largely been sitting out around their fire pit relaxing. I've noticed the people who own Boxwood in the garden every single day working.
Yes.
But Mallory, walk us through walk us through the steps, right? What goes into making the tour of homes happen?
Well, first of all, finding willing people to be on the tour. And we have some repeat folks that are just generous to opening their doors to us. And I think that, people that purchase and live in these historical homes, they get it. They love it. They love history. And so for the most part, they understand that a bunch of nosy Nellies want to come see the inside of it, including myself. So that's the first step. And then we assign house captains to each home, and then they come up with about 20 docents per home. So 8 homes, 20 docents, at least one house captain. You're looking at
160 people.
So a lot of support from the community, people stepping up to help us make this a success. And then, tour maps and ticket sales. And speaking of which, we have early bird ticket prices until May 9th. But yeah, lots of moving parts. We got to mark the homes and carry out booties so people don't walk in with dirty shoes. And
the attention to detail, like that was something that I really noticed was, everybody having the little things on their feet so they wouldn't track in. And you kind of got a rainy weekend bit for winter.
Yeah. So, but I was surprised at how many people, like you said, they want to see inside those houses. They will come rain or shine to be able to walk through these historic homes because they're so well done, and you only get to see them, and as great as the community is of most of the same houses over and over again, there are people where, oh my gosh, that house hasn't been on tour in like 20 years. Right. And so to be able to walk through that house, it's a big deal. Right. So they'll come.
And let's not forget they get your buildings too, right?
Correct.
So, I can tour Rogers House, Rose Cottage. I can tour the Cultural Center. So by buying a ticket, and you mentioned buying a ticket, where do they do that? Like
on our website at www.mmcc-arts.org. And we're also incorporating an artisan market on the front lawn both days of the tour this year. So we'll have local artists with booths set up selling their artwork and things. So please check that out too.
It's just a great day to be in Madison. Mm-hmm. I will say, in all fairness, unless you're driving a trolley. Like I feel like it's so I always say that everybody loves the trolley until they're stuck behind it. The tour of homes is Madison's revenge because so one of the nice things about it, and this has been a challenge, and this was kind of what attracted me to bringing the trolley to Madison, was you got all these great homes, but they have an awesome walking tour. But it's 2.4 miles, and let's face it, there's a lot of people that 2.4 miles is insurmountable. And you have kind of the same thing with the tour of homes, and so it's nice that we're able to have the trolley to kind of run people around. But it is like, listen, you're talking to somebody who spent the better part of his life driving in New York City, and Old Post Road in Madison on Tour of Homes Day. I will take it any day of the week. But it's also just a great day to be in Madison because obviously you have all the stores, have sales, you have the restaurants,
right.
Are all staffed up to meet anybody's. You got the artisan market. You had something like that going on. I know there's a group, the Young Entrepreneurs Group, which is this great organization. We're going to get them on that help, like we're talking middle schoolers start their own businesses. They have an event on those days. So it's just a great day to be in Madison and get to enjoy Madison. So you're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Bob Furr here, filling in for Marc every Tuesday on Real Country Q92.3. We are talking with Mallory and Colin Agnew of the Cultural Center, Stephanie Donaldson of the Historical Society, and all the things their organizations offer. We're into the upcoming tour of homes. We'll be back after a commercial break with some other events and activities these organizations offer.
The Madison Trolley Company is Morgan County's newest 5-star attraction. We offer historic Madison tours year-round, a haunted history experience in the fall, and our Madison Lights Christmas Tour and Mary Maddie Express Adventure for kids have become new holiday traditions. Our private charters add vintage charm to weddings and special occasions aboard a historic trolley by day, party trolley by night. Find us on the Madison Town Square or get on board by visiting madisontrolley.com or calling us at 706-997-1800.
Double D Plumbing is a local, owned, licensed, and insured plumbing company in Loganville. You can reach Double D Plumbing at 770-466-8370. They have the ability to take on any plumbing job regardless of size or difficulty with experience in all phases of plumbing, including commercial and residential, tankless heaters, sewer cameras, and drain cleaning. Call Craig Shepard at 770-466-8370 or visit them on the web at ddplumbinggeorgia.com. You're going to like the way they flow.
Serving Loganville and the surrounding area for over 25 years, it's the Main Street Barbershop, 305 Main Street next to Braxton's Auction in downtown Loganville, offering old-fashioned service and modern-day styles. Appointments available and walk-ins welcome. Open Tuesday through Saturday with a friendly staff and atmosphere. That's Main Street Barbershop in downtown Loganville. Call 770-554-3300 or go to mainstreetbarberloganville.com to learn more.
If you're in the construction business, you're going to need a dumpster at some point in time, and that's why you need to call Atha Equipment Rental in Monroe, now offering 20 and 30-yard cans. Atha Equipment Rental now offers a complete line of landscape and construction equipment like tools, trenchers, floor sanders, jackhammers, and so much more, like rentals for your parties with tables, chairs, popcorn machines, Dunkin' booths, and more. Call Jason Atha at 770-207-6041. That's Atha Equipment Rental on East Spring Street in Monroe.
All right, welcome back, Real Country. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show on Q92.3. Bob Furr filling in for Mark every Tuesday, and we are talking with Mallory Agnew, Colin Agnew of the Cultural Center in Madison, and Stephanie Donaldson of the Historical Society, and we are reminding you not to be those people in New York City, the 15 to 20%, I guess it would be the 85 to 90, or 80 to 85%. I was good in history, not math. 85 to 80% who never see these things that are right in their own hometown.
Madison's awesome.
It really is.
I'm so excited.
It really is a great town. And so, Colin, let's go to you a little bit here. I, on the tour, refer to the Cultural Center as our cultural engine, right? Like, it really is what drives the culture in town. You've got the museum, and in the museum, you've got arts, history, culture. You've got educational events that you put on. You've got exhibitions that you put on. You have social events like the big Mardi Gras event that was recently held there. And then you have the performances. And the performances, they don't only offer great talent, they offer great variety. And I said earlier, right, not everybody can go from Shakespeare to jazz and hip-hop. You've got, on April 4th, that jazz and hip-hop show coming up. You got April 18th, the folk art band, Americana folk band coming up. You have opera on May 1st. And then every Monday night, Stephanie, I'm surprised you haven't gotten in on this. I'm getting a vibe. Every Monday night, first Monday of the month at the Cultural Center, is open mic night. So, Colin, there's so much going on. Tell us all about it.
There's a lot to talk about. But yeah, the performing arts comprises probably the largest, at least the largest percent of things that we're doing at the Cultural Center. Me and my wife, cat's out of the bag, me and Mallory are married. Me and my wife have been working there coming up on 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. Prior to that, we were both on the Performing Arts Committee for about a year and a half. So we've been involved over there for the past 3, going on 4 years, bringing in different shows. About a year and a half ago is when we started the open mic night once a month, as you mentioned, and that's been something that's been, growing consistently. We've seen, similar people coming back every time, sharing stories, sharing skits, sharing songs, sharing dance. We have a line dance group that's coming back almost every month now.
That's awesome.
Trying to get some more young people to come out, with the high school and the middle school. It's been a really nice thing, a really good community that we're building over there. Specific with the performances, we have 12 to 15 concerts a year, which is roughly once a month. I mean, and it's a lot, considering that we take off a couple of months during the summer. Usually, that might be changing in the near future. We'll see. But these concerts range from, case in point, a couple of weeks from now, we have Boom Trio as part of our Spring Music Festival this year. Boom Trio is a fantastic contemporary jazz hip-hop group from Atlanta. 2 weeks after that, we have a cello and violin modern kind of orchestral folk duet that does a lot of looping and singing, and they're premiering a string quartet that he composed. They're called Takanobu on April 18th. We have Julie Coucheron, who's been a long-standing resident artist at the Cultural Center for the past, at least 2 decades. She's been working with us as part of the Chamber Music Festival, but she's coming back to do a night at the opera with a couple of vocalists from the Atlanta Opera on May 1st. So we have all sorts of things. That's kind of running out the end of our season this year. Next year, we're actually changing things up. Next year is going to be quite a different format. We're kind of condensing a lot of our programming in the fall and the spring into 2 festivals. Our fall festival, our Fall Harvest Festival is what I'm calling it, is the first time out doing this October, on October 24th. Will be a single-day festival out on the front lawn of the Cultural Center. It's going to be, hopefully, knock on wood, a beautiful October Saturday afternoon. We're going to have 4 amazing acts that we're currently getting contracts for, so I'm not going to mention who it might be yet, but be on the lookout.
REM.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Elton John might be there. No. So that's going to be good. So condensing stuff in the fall to that fall festival, and in the spring we're kind of condensing everything into our Spring Music Festival, which the format will be a little different. We're doing it 1 concert a night over the course of 2 weekends. So we'll have 5 performances over the course of 2 long weekends in April next 2027.
And what's kind of cool is you actually have 2 venues, right? So you have the more modern hall on Foster in the back of the building where the high school used to be, and I think that's where you do the open mic night.
So the hall on Foster was actually it was added to the school in the 1930s or 40s, I believe, as part of the New Deal. It was the original gymnasium. Okay. The high school is no longer there. The high school that they built at some point in, I think, the 20s was currently where the current parking lot sits, and it burned down. So, the Hall on Foster is an old gymnasium that we do a lot of rentals. We do some performances there throughout the year when we think we're going to have a really big turnout. Most of those, though, we're moving up into the auditorium, the historic auditorium, so including our open mic night. That's awesome. That's now housed in the historic auditorium up top.
You're listening to Real Country, Q92.3. This is the Marc McMain Show. Bob Furr filling in on Tuesdays. Our theme today is things to do in the community, specifically in Madison. And right now we're talking about performing arts at the Cultural Center. So, Colin, you talk about the auditorium. To me, the auditorium is whatever you're seeing. And by the way, that from what I could see, that jazz and hip-hop band is no joke, right? That is a well-known music group from Atlanta that, if you're a fan of that music or even if you're not, right? Like, that's a great opportunity to see a big-name band in our town. But, one of my most cherished and cemented childhood memories was when I was, 7 years old. My parents took me to see a play at Ford's Theater. And it was a gospel musical called Your Arms Too Short to Box with God. That should tell you right there how memorable it was. I'm a 7-year-old kid remembering the name of a gospel musical. But I remember sitting there and just all night staring at that booth where Lincoln had sat. I don't think you guys quite have that level of historic, but but it is something to be in that room. It is one of those rooms where you sit there and be like, this isn't just like a movie theater. This isn't just like any place. I'm in a cool historic place where cool things have happened, and it's. I think that's a really fascinating thing. So, hey, let's shift gears a little bit about getting involved. Let's make sure, because you guys rely on support from the community. We've talked this whole show about all the things you do for the community, all the things you offer to the community. Let's give a chance to give back. So, Stefan, let's go with you first. We talked briefly about membership. How can people get involved? How can people help? What are all the things that are available to support the Historical Society?
Oh, gosh. I mean, we have open arms for however you want to give back. If you want to make a donation, that's great. We've got lots of things that I'd love to do. There's an 1883 wedding dress that I'd love to get on a proper mannequin and conserved and preserved properly. There's a Pleyel piano from the 1830s. Chopin would only perform on that type of instrument. I'd love to get that working again. Upkeeping a historic house itself, I'm sure Colin and Mallory know how expensive it is just to keep the building up to date and up to code.
Well, and speaking of things burning down, you had a little bit of a scare, right? Like some squirrels had a little chew fest on some of the wires.
Yes. I mean, if you want to donate a cat to eat these squirrels, they did. It cost $500 to get the system repaired. It is left and right. You're just constantly shelling out cash. But yeah, if becoming a member, even volunteering. I mean, I think we're always looking for more volunteers, especially with docents for the tour of homes. We're relying on the same group of individuals who've been doing it year in, year out, and they're tired. They want this. We need our younger generation because I know we've got a lot of school-age families. There's a lot of, I'm talking to all my fellow moms out there. I'm talking to you. We need more of these families who, love the history of Madison and came in.
My fingers for that one.
Yeah. We'd love to see you and let's do our part to keep this town that we love, that we moved to. Let's do our part to make it what it is and to continue it to be what it is for the next generation to enjoy.
Absolutely.
And before we get to you, Mallory, I'll just say, like, what I see in this is the same thing you always see in these situations, was the same faces, the same names, the same small group of people doing 80% of the work. And, we need the next generation to get involved in this. This is your community.
Absolutely.
This, if I'm going to be completely, superficial, it affects your property values, right? You depend on tourists. You bought a home here. You depend on tourism. You depend on reasons that people are in Madison. There's, get involved. There's a responsibility, I think, to get involved.
100%.
Mallory, how about the Cultural Center? A lot of ways to get plugged in over there.
Yes. So we are funded by membership, sponsorship, fundraising, and grants not so much anymore. We've slowed down a little on the federal funding, but and donors obviously. And in the nonprofit sector, arts nonprofits receive only 4% of foundation funding. So we need all the help we can get, and membership is a great way and an affordable way to help keep the lights on and help keep continuing our mission. So if you're listening, please become a member. We have perks for membership, and but yeah, we would love to see more engagement from the younger generations. That the people that have been so committed to our organization can pass the torch,
right?
And once I wasn't a huge history buff, but working at the Cultural Center, I'm realizing how special and incredible it feels to be a part of it. So. Yeah, just come on in, y'all.
I will say there's a moment on the tour when we pull up in front of the Cultural Center and we do a little thing because you guys are right next to where the Georgia Female College was. And then we turn our attention and we're sitting right next to that Cultural Center and looking up at it. Every time I make that turn, it stops me for a second. It is just such a grand and imposing building, And one thing I would add to this, too, is, we need the support, right? But we need the fresh ideas. We need the young person's perspective. We need young people to come in and, help Colin understand, hey, how do we get new audiences, new people involved, like this hip-hop and jazz thing that you have coming up. So, well, listen, we got a lot. Let's kind of just do a recap here, right? Because there's a lot of great things going on that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. So right off the top, we've got the Tour of Homes coming up on Friday, May 15th and Friday the 16th. You can go to mmcc-arts.org.
Correct.
And you can get all the information about that.
Yes.
I'm assuming if you want to volunteer and help out, you can do that there
Please.
as well.
Yes.
Yep. And you can find out about all the great events that Colin is running there, the concerts and the different programs and ways to get involved. I'll tell you, as a business that's a member of both your organizations, huge payoff for me. I didn't look for a payoff when I did it. I just felt like it was the right thing to do, but it's a great thing. And I think I don't want to misspeak here, but it seems like the events and such like that, you get first call. There's a lot of perks
Yes, lots of
involved
perks.
in that as well. Stephanie, the 3 homes that you run with the Historical Society, very cool, very important. We want to keep that up. So open for tours right now.
Yes.
What's your website? Where do people go for information?
mchistorical.com. Yes, we'd love to have more folks come out to our 3 historic homes and keep the love of history alive.
And then just special events this weekend in Madison. We've got the community yard sale from 8 to 11 in Town Park. Second Saturdays getting rolling in downtown Madison. Fun days for shopping, dining, exploring. April 25th, that big Madison Fest, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Town Park. And we've got our Lobsters roll on Sunday, heading down to the Rock Lobsters game. 4 p.m. game, good for the kids. We'll leave Madison at 2 o'clock. It's a great time. You can tailgate on the way. Guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for all the work you do.
Thank you.
This is Bob Furr filling in for Mark on Q92.3 Real Country, the Marc McMain Show. I will talk to you Tuesday, but they will be back here tomorrow.